Greetings, everybody. Welcome to TV Skywriter Local Edition. I did a show yesterday and was excited about this. What we're going to talk about today. I heard about I had met Alexis Pauline Gumbs before I think it was at an art gallery or something, and have followed her work. I was very excited when I heard about her exhibit at the Carrick, which is an art gallery in downtown Durham. So I'm very happy to introduce you to researcher, artist, and may I say activist, Alexis Pauline Gumbs. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's such an honor to be part of the grand tradition of the Durham Skywriter. I've just appreciated what you've been doing for our community for all these years.
Wow, thank you. Wow. Well, you have this exhibit. It's been going on all week. It ends tomorrow, which is Saturday, February 28th. It's called Breathing Back. And it's the work of Audre Lorde. It says here, Black feminist, warrior, poet, mother. And I was like, whoa. Who is this Audre Lorde? Tell us about her.
Sure. Well, so the exhibit is not specifically about the work of Audre Lorde, although she is one of the revolutionary ancestors that's featured. So there is a collage there dedicated to Audre Lorde, and also other folks like June Jordan and Bayard Rustin and Pauli Murray.
Okay.
Yeah, to name a few. But the lecture series that we started in the space last night was dedicated to Audre Lorde. So Audre Lorde was indeed a Black feminist, lesbian, warrior, poet, mother. She was an acclaimed poet during her lifetime. She was the poet laureate of the state of New York at the time that she passed away, actually. She died from cancer in 1992, and her work has been really impactful. So her nonfiction writing has had a major impact on how people think about multiple issues, because of course, as that description of her says, she had multiple identities, and her poetry has been translated into multiple languages. It's had an impact all over the world, and it's definitely had a personal impact on me. She has a biomythography called Zami, which has been a resource for a lot of young women, especially Black, lesbian, or bisexual, or queer-identified women who have read her life story, the way she presents her life story mythologically. So it's a biomythography in that way, has been a source of support. So sometimes when a young person is thinking about their identity, if they have a wise older person in their life, they might hand them Audre Lorde's book Zami and say, "Oh, well, you're not alone. Maybe you can think about this process in terms of someone like Audre Lorde, who became a great literary figure, and like all of us in her coming of age, struggled to think about who she was, struggled to relate to her own family, and those things." So Audre Lorde's archival papers are at Spelman College in Atlanta, and I have the honor of being the first researcher to work with those papers, and I've just really had a passion for sharing that information with my community here in Durham and with other communities around the world.
I always care about papers when it comes to important writers. Are they simply I shouldn't say simply, but are they a collection of her poetry plus more personal things? Like maybe things that she wrote in her journal? Would that be included in her papers?
Yes. Audre Lorde's collection is really diverse. So she does have manuscripts of her poems there. She does have her journals. Her physical journals are there. Her correspondence, her letters that she received from people, drafts of letters that she sent to people. And, her collection, I was actually surprised at some of the personal artifacts and items that are in there. Her prescription goggles, like snorkel goggles, are there.
Okay.
Her actual hair from when she cut off her locks is there. So it's not just paper, it's other materials, jewelry. She used to make jewelry. Some of the jewelry that she made is there in the collection. And so she was an artist in multiple forms, and she really lived her life as a work of art, and I think it's very appropriate that the way that her collection at Spelman is curated reflects that not only were the words that she wrote down part of her legacy, but also the actual artifacts of her life.
Now, how did you first hear about her and how did her work affect you as an artist?
Yes. So I first learned about Audre Lorde's work when I was in high school, and I was part of a young women's writing group at a bookstore in Atlanta, Georgia called Karis Books and More. Karis is the oldest feminist bookstore in the Southeast,
Hmm.
and they have a beautiful set of programs. They still have a program for young women writers, and I was lucky to be part of that program. It was a very nurturing space for me when I was growing up, and that was the first place that I learned about a lot of the writers who I love, but Audre Lorde was one of those writers that I learned about in that space. And I am telling you, like, every essay that I had to write for high school,
Mhm.
if it didn't have a quote from Audre Lorde at the top, it had a quote from James Baldwin. You know, like, those are my folks. And, like, everything that I was
Wow.
thinking about at that time, I felt so inspired by them. You know, and I felt like quoting them gave me space to say some of the things that I needed to say when I was growing up. And so she's been impacting me for a very long time. And I have, I don't have it, I don't have it close by. I brought it to the lecture. Audre Lorde's collected poems is kind of like my Bible. You know, it's dog-eared. It has so many notes in it from all of these years that I've been using it. And part of the function of this lecture series and the Lorde Concordance tour that I've done around the United States is thinking about how this work that's offered me so much, you know, like, I will just open the book and put my finger on a line, right, when I'm struggling in my own thoughts and feel like it provides me divine guidance. Like, some people open the Bible and they'll put their finger on a verse.
Yeah, I was just going to say that reminds me of what a lot of people do when they do carry their Bibles around.
Yeah, it's that's that for me. It's a sacred text for me, and I've been thinking about, well, how do I make it accessible for other people who, you know, like you, may not have heard about Audre Lorde before, or may not be familiar with her work, but they can have access to that legacy through me and through my close relationship with that work.
So I didn't know that you had gone all around the country. What different cities have you visited?
Oh, well, with the Lorde Concordance, oh my goodness, everywhere that they'll have me. I'll say that this coming week I'm going to Williams College in Massachusetts, and I'm also speaking at Auburn University in Alabama. A few weeks going down to Spelman. Uh, I've been to Guelph University, which is outside Toronto. I've been to Tucson. I've been
Whoa.
all over the place with this work, and it's really been a blessing to be able to meet other communities that are, you know, generous in their listening and welcoming to me.
So people are learning about Audre Lorde. Again, I hadn't heard of her, and it sounds exciting that you are actually introducing the work of someone that maybe would be unknown for many people. And also, I guess people who have heard of her, they can get further inspired by your putting the spotlight on her. What about your own work, however? Are you promoting your own work as well?
Sure. I mean, it's all interconnected. The work that I'm doing as a poet and as a visual artist and as a scholar does intersect with some of the themes that were really important to Audre Lorde. So she thinks a lot about mothering. She,
Mhm.
you know, focuses a lot about on histories of Black women, and that is also a focus of mine. And I have been able to share the project that this exhibit comes out of, which is called Black Feminist Breathing. And last March, I did a Black Feminist Breathing tour around the country, which was really powerful. And we had a Black Feminist Breathing retreat in Magnolia, Mississippi on the anniversary of the Mississippi Freedom Summer this past July.
Nice.
And online, there's the Black Feminist Breathing Chorus. So over 1,000 people subscribed online to participate daily in meditation practices, and all the meditations are based on quotations from ancestors who have impacted my practice of Black feminism.
Can people still sign up for that, or?
Yes, people can still join the list, and the way that it functions now, it was a 21-day experience, and that was this past summer, so that 21-day experience has ended. But usually, if it's, you know, the birthday of a particular ancestor, I'll put out the meditation, and if you are on that list, which you can join that list if you go to blackfeministbreathing.tumblr.com. If you are on that list, then when it is their birthday, you'll get that email in your inbox with the meditation.
Okay, so blackfeministbreathing.tumblr.com.
Yes.
And Tumblr has no E. Tumblr.
No E, right.
Just taking notes here. Okay, wonderful. So tell us what's going to, I mean, you only have 4 days for your exhibit, so what are you going to do during these last 2 days of your exhibit at the Carrick, which is on Parrish Street in downtown Durham?
Yes, I'm very excited about our last two events. So tonight at 6:30 p.m., we're having a workshop called the Black Body Spectrum, which is facilitated by Cantrice Penn, who is a local dancer, choreographer, genius, and she has created this concept of the Black Body Spectrum movement workshops. And so the Black Body Spectrum is actually part of astrophysics and part of how we understand the phenomenon of black holes in the sky. And so Cantrice has had this brilliant idea to think about, well, how do we think about our bodies in the space and time that we live in? So this particular workshop is specifically for people of color, but Cantrice has designed something that engages the different ancestors that are on the walls and allows us to engage them with our bodies. So I'm so excited about that at 6:30 tonight. And then tomorrow is our very last event, Saturday at 1 p.m. We're having our closing sound circle, and Shango Dare, Julia Roxanne Wallace, who is the co-artist on this project, is facilitating that sound circle, and it's so appropriate because sound has been very important to the entire process. And so Shango Dare composed these amazing soundscapes in honor of each of these ancestors, and they're paired with these quotations, which we're calling mantras, by these particular ancestors. And so we'll be working with that in a beautiful sound circle. All ages, all people are welcome to come, and it'll be at 1 p.m. And we would love to see folks there as a way to close out the experience, and also as a way to talk a little bit about next steps, people's intentions after whatever inspiration they've experienced from being in the space, what their intentions are for our community here in Durham going forward.
I like how you share art. I mean, it's very interesting to me to see how art galleries have evolved from simply having something on the wall for you to come gawk at, and that now you're encompassing the body, the soul, the ancestors, and it just sounds really creative and wonderful.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, for Shango Dare and I both, I mean, art really has helped us in our own journeys as people growing up, in our spiritual journeys. We really do think about art as a process for creating community and also allowing ourselves to go deeper, you know, as multi-layered beings, as physical, sonic, visual beings.
I think it's so necessary because, case in point, my niece, she's an adult now, but when she was in elementary school in Chicago, they had no recess. Now, when I was a kid, we would go outside in the morning and the afternoon, run around and get all the energy out. No gym and no lunchroom.
Mm.
And she was not in what they would call a ghetto area, as you might assume. She was in a middle-class area. And I'm telling you, no recess, no movement, no gym. They had to eat lunch in their classroom.
Mm.
And it was a fabulous school, but not very good for the soul. I think the types of exhibits that you are putting forth, where young people in general, can get connected again to the arts, I think it's just, I can't see living without it. You know, being surrounded by art, sound, music, movement. There's so many young people who don't even know what that is anymore. And the kinds of things that you're doing with your art, I think, are very, very important. You might not realize how important it is, but I think it's just of the utmost importance.
Well, I really appreciate that. I do think that we all deserve the space to be physical beings, to be spiritual, emotional beings, and that's right. I do think that's part of the responsibility of the arts community to help create space for that, and I really do hope that education can, I mean, yeah, how we learn how to be together, right? How we learn how to be people together, how we learn how to be better people ourselves, does have to operate on all these sensory levels. And so I definitely hope that the schools here in Durham, but also everywhere, can incorporate that. And of course, I'm always excited to interface with educators and use these types of modalities as an educational tool.
Okay, now speaking of which, you said that your next lecture exhibit might or will be at Lyon Park?
Oh, not necessarily an exhibit, but so the Audre Lorde lecture series is an interactive set of lectures. So that's one of the things, is that like last night in the lecture in the space, I definitely was giving some of the archival information about Audre Lorde and her relationship with some of the other figures like Toni Cade Bambara and June Jordan and Octavia Butler, who are also featured in the exhibit. And we also did physical activities and writing activities and discussion activities. So I would be, sharing some things, and then it would lead into an activity that everybody in the room could participate in with a small group of 3 or with one partner. And we're definitely hoping to do that in as many community spaces as we can do in Durham. I haven't talked about this with anybody at Lyon Park, so they're like, wait, she didn't sign up. But my goal or my dream intention, so that I'm very happy to speak into the space, is that the next one could be there in Lyon Park, because there's just such a beautiful history with that space. And Polly Murray is one of the ancestors that's featured in this exhibit, and that was her elementary school back when she was growing up here in Durham. And so I think that it would be a really beautiful space to have an event like that, and I hope they think so too.
My mom went to that school as well, and
wow.
and my aunt and uncle. Oh yeah. So are you then kind of putting forth the idea that if people know of a space where you could have your lecture series, that that they should contact you?
Yes, please contact me. You can email me at alexis.pauline@gmail.com. I'm really excited to do this work in spaces all over Durham. I think that there's already communities associated with the many amazing spaces that we have here in Durham, and I'm interested in having a way to come to those communities with this work, and also bring with me the people who already participate in the activities that I do into those spaces, so we can have a really powerful exchange. And yeah, that's I just love Durham so much, and so I really love being in spaces with our community, and I would love to collaborate with anybody else who feels that same way and would be interested.
Wonderful. And with that, let me just remind you before we go that Breathing Back, is that the name?
That's right, Breathing Back, a meditation course.
Okay, so that's at the Carrick, downtown Durham, 111 West Parish Street, and that's going to be today and tomorrow. Today being, of course, February 27th, tomorrow the 28th, Saturday. This is going to be on YouTube, so I'm just giving those dates. Watch this in the future. Okay. Also, to get in contact with Alexis Pauline Gumbs, you said alexis.pauline@gmail.com, right?
That's right.
So thank you very much for being on the show, Alexis.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. And if you'd like to be on the show, folks, just contact me, Durham Skywriter @gmail.com. I have 2 incarnations of this show. This is obviously the short form, TV Skywriter Local Edition, for those of us in the Triangle. It airs any day of the week and is available on YouTube later. And then TV Skywriter, which is on Sunday, is my usual show. It's done at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. I talk to people all over the world about creativity. I talk to entrepreneurs, writers, musicians, etc., etc. So if you know someone, and I don't care where they live, and they're creative and you think they'd be a good guest for TV Skywriter, get in contact with me. And with that, ciao for now. See you later. See you, Alexis. Bye-bye.
Thank you.